Hey everyone, Chelsea here from Sew Simple Home. Today's project is a fun one. If you use a flat iron or a curling iron and you have ever tried to travel with it, you know it can be a real big pain to pack, and sometimes it's still hot, but you still got to put it away in your suitcase because you're leaving. Today we're going to make a carrying case or a traveling case for your curling iron or your flat iron. So this is a great and very useful project. Supplies you're going to need today, you can find some cute cotton fabric. I have this really fun kind of polka dot, blue polka dot. You're going to need some type of batting. And today I am using, let me see if I can find my bag here. I'm using Wrap and Zap, which is 100% cotton batting. Works really great for hot projects, so I use it on all my microwave projects. So the microwave bowl cozy, the microwave potato bag, or microwave tortilla warmer, use it on all of those. So this is really good. You can also use like Insul-Brite, which is like a heat resistant and heat deflecting batting. But I don't have any of that. I have the Wrap and Zap, and it's going to work perfect for what we need this project for. And that's typically because my flat iron, the heat's really on the inside. It's not as much on the outside. So with a curling iron, Insul-Brite might be a better choice, but again, it really doesn't matter. You are going to cut 3 pieces from your main fabric and 3 pieces from your batting. So my piece right here is, let me make sure I get my measurements right. It is 5.5 wide and 18 inches long. I'm cutting 2 of those. I've already cut another one. And then for my pocket, that's going to go on the front here. This one is 5.5 inches wide and 9 inches tall. You're going to need a piece of fabric for this, and batting, fabric, batting, and then your back piece the same. And then you'll want about 7-inch piece of bias tape, and then about a 1-inch piece of Velcro or hook and loop tape. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to semi-quilt our batting to our material. So I've already done that on one of my pieces here. So I want to show you here. I just did stripes. You could do stripes, you could do boxes, you could do diagonals, whatever you want to do. I'm just doing stripes just to make it easier. That just helps the batting stay in place with the material. And just gives it a very unique look. So I'm going to do the same thing with this piece here. Oh, and I didn't mention, I will have this as a PDF pattern download, so you can get a link down in the description. You can see here at the top that I've rounded the edges. So the PDF pattern will have that. If you want to do that on your own, you certainly could just use something with a round edge and then mirror it on both sides, but you could also use it, keep it as a rectangle. It's totally up to you. Now, I am not a quilter by any stretch of the imagination. I know that. I'm okay with that. So what I'm going to do for this particular project is I'm going to press just a little crease. You could also just finger press it down the middle. We're going to call that my first line. I'm going to put it under my machine, forward, and just follow that line that I just pressed with my sewing machine. If you are a little bit more particular, you could definitely use a fabric marking pen and mark your lines. Make it super professional looking. If you were going to sell this, then I would say you definitely want to mark your lines so everything is nice and even. So that's my first line. Now I'm just going to use my fingers, and as I sew, I have 2 fingers. I want this finger to be kind of in the middle as I move when I do my next line. So I'm just following it with my finger. And if it gets off course, then I'll move my fabric. See, isn't that super technical? My second stripe. Super amazing, right? There we go. 2 down, go. Alright, so there's our quilted front and our quilted back. Next we're going to quilt our pockets. So we're doing it the same way. Just going to kind of find the middle. Quilt down the middle. Cut all my threads. Okay. There are all our quilted pieces. Now that I have my pieces quilted and hopefully all my threads trimmed, I'm going to take my little piece of bias tape and I am going to iron it, or excuse me, I'm going to sew it along the top edge here. So I've opened it up and I'm just going to stitch it along that top edge. And I have you use a 7-inch piece of bias tape, and this should be 5.5 inches wide. So that gives you a little extra room for your bias tape. Okay, so I've stitched it on, and now I'm going to take my scissors and trim some of the bulk out there. Bring my bias tape to the back here, and I'm going to stitch it down. So it looks like that. Cut my extra little threads here. Okay, so that's my pocket. With my pocket done, I'm going to put my piece of elastic, or excuse me, my piece of Velcro on. So I'm going to take the fuzzy side, the soft side of my Velcro, and pin it in the middle of my pocket just under my bias tape. And I'm just going to do a box stitch around it so it stays in place. So this is just half of the Velcro that's on the pocket. And then I usually will put a diagonal stitch in just to help give it a little bit more strength. Trim my threads here. Don't need any more thread. And there's my pocket. With my Velcro on my pocket, I'm going to go ahead and place the pocket over the inside piece and then the outside piece over it. So I've got my 3 layers together. And now you definitely want to pin or use your clips or whatever you have. You don't have to use a ton, but this is going to help it so it stays in place. Because with all of these layers, things are going to move. It's just inevitable. All right, and then I also want to mark an opening so that I can turn my project right side out when I'm all done. So to do that, I want to line everything up, and I double pin. So I put 2 pins here, and then I'll put 2 pins where I want to leave my opening, like that. So this will be my opening. Okay, and put one more over here. So now what I'll do is I'll start here, stitch all the way around, and end here. And this will be where I'll turn my material right side out. I'm going to put it in my machine. I'm going to use I'm gonna use about a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance this time around, just to ensure I get all my layers. When I get down to the bottom, I'm gonna make sure all my layers are lined up and put my thread or my needle down, turn my presser foot, stitch across, put my needle down, turn, and keep sewing. And just periodically I'm just checking to make sure I'm getting through all of the layers. Don't want to miss a layer. Sometimes when you sew on batting, the layers get a little crazy. Going around my curved edge. Alright, I've gone through all the layers, so now I'm going to take out some of the bulk. So I'm going to clip my corners here, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to trim some of that batting out because I don't need all the bulk on my seams, and it'll just make things lay a little bit better. So I'm going to trim some of this batting down, and if you get some of your fabric, that's fine too. You don't have to go crazy. You're just trying to take some of the bulk out of the seams, because they will be really bulky with 2 layers of, well, 3 if you count the pocket, layers of batting. So we're just trimming it down just a little. And then when I get up to the top here, I'm actually going to take my scissors and I'm going to clip around the edge so that when I turn my material, everything will lay flat. Alright, so now it's time to turn it out. Turn it inside out. I found my opening here, and I'm going to find my pocket. And remember, the pocket has batting on one side and fabric on one side, and we want to make sure the fabric side comes out right side up. So sometimes I've turned things in the pockets the wrong way, so then I have to turn it back, and that's a chore, right? It's a chore to turn it the first time. Why do you want to do it the second? So just make sure that your pocket is turned on this side and not inside out. Okay. Let's pull the top portion around. There we go. It's starting to look like something. Okay, now we're going to take a wooden dowel or a pencil or something, and we're going to come in here. This one's kind of, let's find this bigger one here. And we're going to push out those corners. Now we tried to cut some of that bulk out, and doing that should help us get some pretty straight and squared corners. But we have a lot of batting, so sometimes it takes a little muscle, a little elbow grease. Okay. And then you can see I'm kind of using the dowel to push those curved edges out. See how I did that? And then I'll come up along the seam on the side. So it's like giving it a press on the inside. Kind of looks like a funky, like a hot pad, right? So this is my opening. So I'm going to take my little iron here and just press it so the raw edges are in the inside. And then I'll just kind of go along and press all my seams. Now this is a very bulky project. We're using a lot of batting, a lot of material, because we're using it on our hot iron. So we want to make sure that everything we stay safe, right? That our hands don't get burned, that our luggage doesn't melt. All right, there it is. So now I'm gonna go in and I'm just going to stitch this closed right on the edge. You could definitely hand stitch it. I'm just gonna do a little top stitch along the edge to close it off. And it's good if you can follow if you have your quilting seam, if you can follow that quilting seam so it all looks like it's very organic and it went together, or if not, that's fine too. Next, we want to add the rest of our Velcro. So I'm gonna fold it down. In fact, you can even put your flat iron in there and see kind of where it matches up here. So we want to put it pretty close on the end because we want that pocket to work well for us. So we're just gonna stitch a box stitch around this. It's a lot of layers to get through, but it can be done. I think it might quite on as straight as I'd like. Okay. Got lots of threads on this one. Okay, Velcro on, Velcro close. How easy is that? Now, take my flat iron, take my cords, and they should all fit in there. Let's turn it this way so we can fit it a little better. Everybody fits in there. And then we bring it over, close it up, and there is our flat iron case. Isn't that great? Now, if for whatever reason you have a longer curling iron and you need a little bit more room, you can always add some extra inches. This is 18 inches when we cut the pattern, so it comes out to be about a 17-inch, yep, 17 inches long. So if you wanted it to be a little longer, you could always add some inches to it. But this I like because it's nice and snug. That's what you want. And it has lots of layers of protection. So it's going to help keep things from melting because there's so many layers. So let me know what your thoughts are. Are you going to make yourself one? Make it for someone else? Hopefully you enjoyed this project, and we will see you next time.